I know that our system is not working, and I don't think there's any country on the planet looking at us saying, "Oh, I want that system. Oh, wow, that version of democracy, I think we should support that." And I am saying this because I'm really afraid that my country's going to be further weakened by this. I think we're going to see the end of American empire.
大家好，欢迎来到正经脉动，我是老吴。今天这期节目，我想和大家分享一场非常有意思的对话，来自于两个资深的铁杆的 MAGA， 一个是塔克·卡尔森，一个是史蒂夫·班农。咱们就来看看他们俩对于美国正在走向衰落这个现实是怎么抱怨、怎么哀鸣的。在开始之前，我必须花点时间给这两位画个像，尤其是对一些不太熟悉美国政治的朋友，因为了解他们的背景，你才能体会到这场对话的奇妙之处。先说一下史蒂夫·班农，这个名字可能大家都听过，他曾经是特朗普的白宫首席战略师，被很多人看作是 MAGA 运动的教父。他的反华立场可以说是他整个政治主张的核心。他最爱鼓吹的就是所谓的经济民主主义。在他看来，美国过去几十年的衰落，全都是因为以中国为首的全球化力量掏空了美国的制造业。所以他主张用一切手段和中国进行一场全面的你死我活的经济战争，彻底脱钩。2019年，他还复活了一个冷战时期的组织，叫当前威胁委员会，专门把矛头对准中国，宣称中国对美国构成了生死攸关的威胁。他甚至还和那个流亡美国的郭文贵搅合在一起，搞了一个所谓的新中国联邦，妄图推翻中国政府。可以说班农就是这几年中美关系恶化的一个重要幕后推手。这里给大家看一个班农的视频小片段。
The Chinese Communist Party is an illegitimate dictatorship, the most brutal dictatorship in mankind's history, in modern history. They're worse than the Bolsheviks, worse than the Nazis. She's a brutal dictator.
接下来我们说一说塔克·卡尔森，他是福克斯新闻曾经的收视率之王，在过去的10几年里，他可以说是美国右翼最重要的媒体旗手和舆论推手。在他的节目里，中国几乎是所有问题的根源。他指责中国通过不公平贸易和技术盗窃导致了美国工人的失业。他把所有问题都归咎于美国精英对中国的软弱。虽然他的言论可能不像班农那么赤裸裸的要搞地缘政治对抗，但他的核心目的始终是迎合美国国内观众那种反华排华的情绪。这里也给大家看一个卡尔森的视频片段。
China is a problem that is very hard for the United States to solve. And it's not clear how we do solve that problem. By problem, I mean sort of giving hegemony over the world to a country that doesn't believe anything really that we believe. It would be a massive change in the way the world operates, in the way that we in the United States live. I mean, having China in charge of the world would be very different from what we have now. That's a huge concern, a legitimate concern, I think. And we're not meaningfully dealing with it. China has massive influence within our hemisphere. Go to any island in the Caribbean, the American colonies there, we call them protectorates or some of their colonies. St. Croix, Virgin Islands, for example. All the infrastructure in St. Croix is built by China. What? Why would China be building the airport and the roads in St. Croix? And why are they doing the same in Jamaica and Haiti and virtually every population center in the Caribbean? Also true in South America. Again, this is our hemisphere, which for more than 200 years, we've said explicitly, we control, we will not allow, world powers from across the oceans to control, anything of meaning in our hemisphere.
好了，介绍完这两位，大家应该明白，这两个人都是对中国充满了敌意和偏见，可以说是铁杆的反华急先锋。这场对话最吸引我的地方也就在这里，就是这样极端仇视中国的两个 MAGA， 当他们坐下来关起门来聊自己国家未来的时候，反而显得非常理性。他们对美国衰落的那种无力的哀鸣，我从他们的对话中感受到了一股浓浓的沮丧、愤怒和一种深深的无力感。说句心里话，作为一个中国人，每次看到像他们这样的人在各种场合表达对中国的敌意，我心里都非常不舒服。虽然愤怒，但又感到很无力。其实不仅是他们，整个西方主流媒体都充满了对中国的偏见和诋毁，可以说是无所不用其极，甚至连单纯的体育比赛画面都要给我们加上一层阴间滤镜。在 YouTube 上，各种反华频道的订阅量、视频的收视率都非常好，而我们这些试图发出不同声音的频道，往往会受到各种限制。我当初做这个频道的初衷，就是想分享一些跳出西方叙事框架的观点，为那些片面失真的声音做一点小小的平衡。我相信，只有理性客观的讨论，才能让我们更接近这个世界的本来面目。虽然我也知道，做视频的时候要特别注意言辞， 避免被平台限流。但我频道最近好几个视频都被限流了，说实话，想做点事儿还挺不容易。在这里也想借这个机会，拜托一下喜欢我频道内容的朋友们，请加入会员或者订阅、点赞、转发，来支持一下我们的频道。你们的每一个支持都非常非常重要。稍微有点扯远，我们还是回到正题。在接下来的对话里，卡尔森几乎是以一种内心独白的方式，向班农倾诉了他对当下华盛顿战争狂人的厌恶，对体制的失望，以及对自己被贴上各种标签的愤怒。好，让我们一起来听听这位 MAGA 运动的旗手到底说了些什么。
You know, there's a lot going on, and I feel like there aren't many people representing the, hey, let's have less violence and focus on America's side of things, so it's worth coming just to say that out loud. Of course, you're hated for it. It's crazy how the people who are against killing are the criminals all of a sudden. It's wild. And I thought the other day, this is accelerating, and I was hearing all this, going to war with Iran, and part of me was like, oh, we're not really going to do that. After we have this election whose core point was, hey, can we just pay attention to this amazing nation that we have that's suffering, and people are taking loans out to buy groceries, and we need attention and money.
And micropayments. They buy now and they pay micropayments over time. For food. But hey, let's pay for somebody else's missile defense. No. So I start to hear this stuff, and I'm like, this can't be real. But then it becomes obvious to me that it is real, and I think that is the last conversation I want to be part of. I have zero interest in this conversation at all. I know it's all downside for me. It's not like I'm going to get, rich and make more friends trying to stop. But why is the argument that you're making? I'm making a slightly different argument, but it's Trinity. Why are you being vilified? So we just had Tom Cotton. We played clips before he got here. We had Mark Levin, Tom Cotton, and we had Bibi. Bibi said last night to Brent Baer, "Oh, it's 12 to 13 months away from. The bomb was supposed to be on Friday or Saturday. Now he's telling Brent Baer on Sunday. Really, we got intelligence, but it's 12 to 13 months away, which is something they've been saying forever."
It's so funny that Bibi's more honest about it than his water carriers here in the United States. You would never get Barry Weiss or Tom Cotton to admit that.
Well, Tom Cotton took a shot. He said,
he's mad at Bibi now. Bibi's
no. He took a shot.
Bibi's not pro-Israel enough.
He took a shot. The same podcasters and influencers, right, or don't have the accountability, the responsibility here.
Yes, I really try. I've spent a lot of my life being cruel and really cruel, and I'll have to answer for that someday, and at times dishonest.
What do you mean cruel?
Just going after people's weaknesses. No, that's my instinct always. I mean, I grew up as a debater, and I'm nasty in some ways. And so I look at some of the players in this whom I've known since they got to Washington, since, again, I'm from here. Had breakfast at the Metropolitan Club this morning, alone. And, no, this is my city, right? My dad worked for the government. This is where we're from. And I look at these people who I've known since they, came in from the provinces, including the senator you mentioned, who's from a state I used to live in. And, you could really be mean about it. And they are mean. They've attacked my family and all this stuff a lot. But I'm trying not to respond that way. My interest is really simple. I don't want the United States enmeshed in another Middle Eastern war that doesn't serve our interests. I saw that last time. I covered that war. I had a friend killed in that war.
Talk about Iraq, because Iraq is some of the same voices at the Fox platform
the Fox platform is just, it's so disgraceful. There's so many good people at Fox. I worked for the Murdochs for, all in over 20 years. I always liked them. I like them now. I'm not attacking them personally, and tons of people at Fox are my friends. And there's a lot about Fox that I love. And they were kind to me, always. Even when they fired me, they were nice. I just want to say that. But the one theme that runs longitudinally through the history of Fox is the promotion of wars that don't help the United States. And I don't know
why is that?
It's the owners are committed to that vision. And they are elaborately polite, nice people. You know them, Rupert and Lachlan. I mean, they were sitting here. There's no chance you wouldn't like them. And they're interesting, and they're smart, and they're just nice. They're super nice. But we disagree fundamentally on that. And the claws really come out at moments like this. Most of the time it's, it's fine. But when it really comes down to it, when it's a question of whether U.S. military power will be exerted on behalf of a foreign country thousands of miles from here, they are all in, and anyone who stands in the way will be destroyed. I don't think it's personal, by the way. I like Tom Cotton. I always like Barry Weiss. Barry Weiss is a very charming person. I like all these people. I was like Mark Levin. Like, I got along with him. I mean, he's blowhard, sad personal life and all that, but I was never mad at Mark Levin or Hannity. I like Hannity.
Brilliant constitutional guy.
Yeah, there are great things about all these people. I don't think they hate me personally. They know I'm not working for Qatar. Though I feel like maybe I should be working for Qatar. Like, what the hell at this point? I've never taken a dime from any foreign country or anybody, actually.
In fact, you just bought out, I think it was announced you bought out your investors.
Yeah, I'm not a money guy. I mean, they're projecting. If you could see my house, like, I've made more money than I deserve, but I've not gotten rich, and I don't live like a rich person. Everyone knows that. They're money people. That's why they're projecting, or they're people with opaque motives. My motives are, I'm like autistic about my whole life. I'm totally happy to tell you why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I want to be transparent, and I think pretty much I am. They're the ones who have these weird, complex motives, and so they project onto everyone else the same. Oh, you're getting paid by somebody. You're not sincere. You don't really think that. You're saying it in order to get clicks. Or it's also dumb, and in my case, untrue. You may dislike my views, and you may have good reason to dislike my views, and I understand that. But they're totally sincere. Anyway, my temptation in a moment like this is to go low and to note that a lot of the people pushing for this stuff have really empty, tormented personal lives. That's true of many in Washington. And that this is a way to kind of feel powerful. I mean, nothing makes you feel more powerful than killing other people. That's the ultimate power. And we talk so much about money and sex, and those are drivers of human behavior, of course. Those are powerful impulses in people to accumulate more of both. But really the ultimate power, the Promethean power, the core power is the power to kill. And when you deny that to people, or you seek to deny that to people, or you raise the point that actually you can't kill people, and that when you do, you will suffer for that. As you said the other day, and I meditated on it in that moment in Matthew. And it's not just in Matthew, it's in John, it's in a number of Gospels, where Jesus scolds Peter for raising the sword in his defense. They're hauling off Jesus to torture him to death for no reason. All he did was heal people. And his closest disciples seeks to defend him with violence, and Jesus scolds him and then gets hauled off to be tortured. By the way,
they could have made a break. They would have stood up and Jesus wouldn't have been seized and it would all gone on, but he told him right there, live by the sword, die by the sword.
And he scolds him. It's unbelievable. He's mad at Peter. It's just incredible. Anyway, whether or not you believe in Christianity, whether or not you're a Christian, it doesn't matter. It is true that people who espouse violence suffer in the end. They do. I have seen it a lot. And I grew up in a world that espoused violence. That's what the U.S. government does. My dad was involved in it. And I just believe that. And maybe you don't believe that. That's fine. That is my core belief. I sincerely think that. But why the hate towards someone who's just like, hey, I'm hard. If you think, and I said this to an Israeli official, if you think I'm anti-Israel, man, you have lost the plot, son. If you think I'm your enemy, not at all. I like Israel. Are you kidding? I've spent a lot of time there. I continue to like it. I pray that Jerusalem is not damaged. I feel so sad for the Israelis who've been killed in the last couple of days, and the Iranians who've been killed in the last couple of days, who had nothing to do with any of this. But the point is, if you think that saying, hey, let's focus on my country where I was born, where my family's been for hundreds of years, that was the promise of the last election, please do it. If you think that's hate, you've really lost perspective, I guess is what I would say. But they do think it's hate, and what's happened is what I knew would happen, which is just like, attacks I don't want to deal with that are affecting personal friendships that I care about. The viciousness and the dishonesty is almost unbelievable. Anyway, not to whine. I never whine about stuff like that. It's just that I knew this was going to happen. I didn't want to talk about it at all. I'd much rather talk about immigration. I'd much rather talk about keeping the dollar stores out of rural America. There are all kinds. I'd much rather talk about people taking out loans to buy groceries. These are the declining life expectancy in this country. Fentanyl. I mean, someone else I know just died of fentanyl last week. It's like all of that is now ignored because a leader of a country who does not have majority support in that country, probably 30% support, wants a course of action that includes the United States. And I just disagree. And Anyway, I think it's going to happen. I don't, who cares what I think?
Do you think we're joining the
Yes,
offensive combat operation? Well, we can't assume
But these
that we have
things
to
are
stop
never
that.
the product of look,
we have to stop
you've
that.
actually helped run the governments. I don't need to tell you. You've been there. Decisions like this are never explicitly made. They just sort of happen.
Yes.
It's sort of like living with your girlfriend. Like you wake up hungover one morning and she's there, and then she just kind of doesn't leave, and then next thing you know, you get married and have kids. Like, that's how most people make decisions, just sort of on the basis of facts on the ground. And these things move inexorably toward what they're moving to now, which is full-scale war that includes lots of other countries, either explicitly or not, but the effect is the same. It's a world war. It's a war in which the world is participating.
Well, I think we're in the kinetic part from Ukraine, but today they just moved the carrier battle group from the South China Sea. The Nimitz is heading toward the North Arabian Sea, so they've got the tankers have flown over there. So we're pre-positioning the assets,
of course,
to get involved. And you think that this is going to happen? There's no way we can stop it.
It's too. I mean, I think there are ways to stop it. Oh, you are such a nice person. Sorry, I needed the sacred beverage. No, of course there are ways to stop it. It's just that unless you take, it's like gaining weight, which I've lived with. It's like unless you are a crazy person devoted to being thin, you will get fatter in your 50s. Like you have to take active steps to prevent the inevitable, something that is inevitable otherwise. And in this case, what's inevitable, absent those active monomaniacal steps toward preventing it, is a much larger war. It's too easy to pull the United States into it. We have too many assets in that region. We're too dependent on the energy from that region. International oil markets are. I mean, there's so many things that could go wrong. Actually, as horrifying as the exchange between Israel and Iran has been, horrifying in the sense that innocents have died, which, let me remind you, is horrifying, always and everywhere.
No,
we have to
Tel Aviv's
believe
got
that.
hit, Tehran's got hit, civilians are dead.
In both places.
Right.
And if we don't think that that's sad, then we're not fully human. Like, you have to believe that's sad, and you have to really mean it. Whether or not, you can hate the Iranian government. I'm not for the Iranian government. But if you don't see the death of innocents anywhere as sad, then you are gravely diminished. Certainly as a Christian. Anyway, whatever. But there are so many ways to pull the United States into this, and the incentives to pull the U.S. in are so profound. I guess if I could just say one political thing, watching Donald Trump, who of course you know very well, who I think at core is sincere about peace. I mean,
big time.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Big time. I mean, that's real. Watching him done so wrong, the lies. Oh, he knew all along. The peace process was fake. Steve Witkoff was playing along. That is a lie. That's a lie. I know. That's a lie. Those guys meant it.
Bald-faced lie.
It's a total lie. And all these people that Mark Levin and all of the minions who are running cover for a foreign government, they're all telling that same lie. And I feel for President Trump, and I don't know this, I'm just guessing, but at this point, I feel like he just has to kind of roll with it. What do you say? You don't want to get in an argument about that right in the middle of a war.
No, I think he reiterated last night that we got to get back to the peace part. They got to lay down the guns.
But they're lying about him. He sincerely, even now, he sincerely believes, whether he's right or not, I can't say, but that this could be a predicate to a peace deal, what we're seeing now. He really thinks that and wants that. And the other side is just like, no, a peace deal is immoral.
It's the other side, but the other side also has the apparatus here. This is what happened
in the
Ukraine,
U.S.
When Ukraine attacked, Ukraine attacked, we still haven't asked Ratcliffe, was the CIA involved? There's zero probability Ukraine could attack that deep into Russia without some involvement. Here, the exact same thing. Why was Tulsi Gabbard not invited to the Camp David meeting all day?
You know why.
Why Tulsi Gabbard still to the American public has said, the last public statement is that the program was not back up and running. And now we have from Bibi by himself on Fox by Brent Baer that the thing was 12 to 13 months away. It wasn't this weekend.
I know.
And this is by his own thing. And we also know that it was a decapitation, as we said on Friday. It wasn't just about the nuclear program. It's a decapitation of total leadership. So this is a total regime change, which, by the way, you may have a plan for regime change, is fine. But you got to bring the American people along. Let me go back.
By the way, I said that publicly last week. The point of this is regime change. I know everyone involved. I know I'm telling the truth. I have no weird motive here at all. I don't hate Israel. I'm not.
Plus, you know the players, and you went and you know the Iraq situation.
This isn't a regime change effort, and why not just say that? But you're a Holocaust denier for saying that. Well, stop. Let's have a rational conversation about what our aims are here. And maybe you can convince me that we need to support a regime change war in Iran. Tell me how that plays out in a country of 90 million people. Have you thought it through? Do you even care? And the answer is no. We have a economic and political and demographic crisis in Europe because of U.S.-backed, Israel-backed
Syria
wars in the Middle East.
Yeah.
That's what's destroyed Europe, where my ancestors came from. And I spend a lot of time there, and I love European culture, which is Christian culture. And it's destroyed that. And shut up, you're not allowed to care. Who's making the rules here? I don't hate anyone. I don't see conflict with anyone at all. I have no weird biases. All my biases are out in the open. But I really resent being told who my enemy, especially with foreigners. Some foreigner shows up and tells you who your enemies are. Really? I've been here a long time. I live across from my parents' graves. You can't tell me who America's enemies are, or at least I have a right to weigh in on that also. Oh, shut up, says Mark Dubowitz or something. It's like, are you even from here? Who are you anyway? This is so bonkers. I don't hate Mark Dubowitz. I don't hate his agenda. What I hate, I disagree with his agenda. I'm not mad at him. I'm not mad at any of these people fundamentally. But what I seek is an honest, open, transparent conversation about what we're doing and why. And I don't think that's too much to ask for, considering it's my tax dollars and my money that you're seeking to use to achieve it. If that's radical, then, we've distorted the terms beyond recognition.
If you look at the debt, $9 trillion associated with Iraq and Afghanistan. I want to go back to Iraq. We played on Friday. We did the whole opening thing of the bombing, everything going, everybody on TV beating their chest, because at that time, it looked like Israel was telling, hey, this thing's over now, people jumping in. And we finished with shock and awe from March 19th of 2003. And I said, hey, look, if you go back in that time, they were all beating their chests then in the march up country to Baghdad, and they couldn't be better. Remember, they're throwing roses on the ground, all that. And it was 20 years later, a complete fiasco, because it's always the law of unintended consequences. That's what we face here. This thing has not been thought through, right? It does not have the commitment of the American people. You have to bring the American people. The American people are not there to get into another war right now.
And why is the Congress not actively debating this? There's one person. Marjorie Taylor Greene is like the only... Oh, and now Levin says this morning she's not MAGA. Okay, all right now. Now we're really in the last scene of Animal Farm.
No, she's just some tiny congressman from rural Georgia.
She's just some liberal from suburban Atlanta. Yeah. I mean, it's also mind-bending. And I have to say, the level of unanimity, the sort of instantaneous response from 535 members of Congress that we're going to do this one thing, no debate, anyone who says otherwise is evil. It does make you wonder, what is this system?
Are you an appeaser? You've been called now an appeaser?
An appeaser
and a pacifist, right?
A pacifist.
Why have they thrown...
They're literally attacking my family.
What have you said here in the last 72 hours as a factual matter that would make you an appeaser?
I'm an American above all. I am not a genius. I'm not a prophet. I've been wrong many, many times. And it's possible I'm wrong now, but my motives are transparent. I love this country. I have nowhere else to go. I will not go anywhere else. And I just want what's best for it. We can debate what's best for it. But to tell me that I'm working for a foreign nation is by people who are literally working for foreign nations. It's so nuts. I will say this. Our political system is paralyzed in the face of this completely. It's not doing what it was designed to do, which is channel the views of the people through the apparatus of government. It's not doing that at all. It's short-circuiting and ignoring their opinions. And you have to kind of wonder why. And I don't fully understand it. I know that our system is not working. And I don't think there's any country on the planet looking at us saying, oh, I want that system. Oh, wow, that version of democracy, I think we should support that.
好，卡尔森和班农的这段对话我们就听到这里。这段对话里，我们听到了一个与电视上那个咄咄逼人、充满攻击性的塔克·卡尔森完全不同的形象。这是一个充满了疲惫、沮丧，甚至带有一丝悲凉的卡尔森。他一上来就表达了对新的一场中东战争的极度厌恶。他说他看到的是国内民生的凋敝，是老百姓要贷款去买菜的现实。他不理解为什么还要去为别人的战争买单。 接着他把矛头指向了他曾经的老板和平台福克斯新闻和默多克家族，他痛斥这个平台始终在推动那些对美国无益的战争。然后他开始进行自我剖析，他谈到了自己的挣扎，他不想再用刻薄的语言去攻击别人，他甚至引用圣经的故事，说凡动刀的必死刀下，来表达他对信奉暴力的人的鄙视。最让我感慨的是，他字里行间流露出的那种深深的无力感。他抱怨自己仅仅因为呼吁关注国内，就被贴上了和平主义者、安抚主义者等各种标签。他愤怒地表示，最可笑的是那些正在为外国工作的人反过来指责他为外国工作。他说他看到2003年伊拉克战争前的集体狂热正在今天重演，这让他觉得美国正在重蹈覆辙。他觉得华盛顿的建制派根本不关心国内民生，他们唯一关心的就是对外投射武力。在这段对话里，我看到了一个反华国师的另一面。当他不谈中国，而是回头看自己的国家时，他的眼中充满了失望和困惑。他觉得美国的政治体制已经失灵，无法反映民意，也无法解决真正的问题。这种来自敌人内部的哀鸣，在我看来，比任何外部的批评都更能说明这个帝国真的出问题了。作为一个中国人，看到这些反华急先锋的哀鸣，我的心情怎么样？想必大家能够猜到。好了，今天的分享就到这里，下一期我们将继续听完这场对话的后半部分，看看当话题涉及到更深层次的体制问题和深层政府时，卡尔森又会做出哪些令人震惊的话。